Hey Adrian, I appreciate you taking out some time for a quick chat from my website, MediaMikes.com. And let me jump right in here. First question I got for you is if I bring up Highlander, the series, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is one of the first things that comes to your mind?
Well, the first thing is learning.
Learning?
Mm-hmm. I think
Sure.
so, yeah, because it was a learning curve for me. It was a change of life and understanding. I actually talked about it in my Q&A yesterday, how
Okay.
it changed who I was slightly, in a sense.
Sure.
Because you do a lot of research as an actor, and I did a lot of research on England and Scotland and all the different time periods, and understanding who Duncan MacLeod was and how it was written and how I wanted to portray him, etc. It's kind of made me look at things in my own life, how I wanted to sort of lead that. So yeah, that was what it was.
That's awesome, man. And the series itself ran for 6 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching it back in '92. That's how funny
You're
it is.
dating both of us now.
I know, but I can't believe it's even been that long. That blows my mind. So, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of bringing Highlander to the small screen?
Comparing it to the big screen, I mean, I think that's always a challenge when they take a successful film and put it into a TV medium. I was very lucky because they were originally going to make me Connor MacLeod, and that would have been very difficult because everybody, when they see a character, they identify with that character, they know that character, and then when somebody else comes and plays it, they're going to compare the two.
Sure.
And luckily Christoph was available to shoot the first episode, I think at a very high price, but I don't know. But you know, and then I became Duncan MacLeod. I had to. They had a bunch of names. Ian was one of them. I remember that, and I can't remember the others. But I was like, Ian. I don't see it as Ian. Didn't have that.
Duncan works well.
Yeah, Duncan's much better.
That's great. So, next question is, what would you? How did you relate most to the character of Duncan MacLeod? How did you kind of prepare and get yourself into that mindset?
Well, you know, it's like any character. You kind of have to do a lot of research. And at first, I didn't have the time. It was like literally about 4 or 5 days before I was going to go shoot when I got the job. When I finally got the job, and then Christoph actually had, you know, he was available, so I had another week. So I was able to do a bunch of research on, you know, who these guys might be, what they might think of, like who they were, and I started kind of making those decisions on MacLeod. But really, it was throughout the process that you kind of really started melding him, because what happens, an acting teacher once told me, he said, as you change as a person, you'll change as an actor, and as you change as an actor, you'll change as a person. Both are interconnected, especially if you do a series for a long period of time. A lot of your own traits will be part of that character, and they might be traits you hide because you don't necessarily show them, you know, in everyday life. You're not that person in everyday life, but there's something you understand about playing that person, playing that character, so you put that into the role that you play. And so over, you know, I think MacLeod kind of really sort of became who he was after the first season.
Sure.
You know, kind of understanding who it was, and because, you know, it was a series which was very stereotypical to a point, and then we kind of, you know, my thing was like, oh, we've got to find some more humour in it, and especially when Amanda turned up, that was really fun because it was a totally different dynamic. Rather than trying to find the bad guy of the week and have Tessa and Love, and that was one thing, but then having this thing is like, so it's kind of tongue-in-cheek humour. Then you had Roger Daltrey come in as Hugh Fitzcairn, which was another humour. So there was a really good mixture between history and humour and action and all that type of stuff that I think worked well at the end. But it took a while to congeal into a well-formed idea.
Well, it definitely worked. It's been over 15 years now since Highlander the Source, right? Which is kind of sad to see a franchise, you know, lay dormant like that, especially like Highlander. You know, and today everything is getting like rebooted and whatnot. Any chance for like a return of Duncan MacLeod?
I don't know about Duncan MacLeod. I mean, I know that Lionsgate have a film in the works that they've been developing, but it's been in development for 10 years. And so one person falls out. It's the same thing as an independent movie. You know, an independent movie has several factors to make the finance happen. Well, you've got 2 factors and you're looking for the third or the fourth, and then you get to the fourth and suddenly the second one falls out. So the same thing may be happening with that. I don't know. It might be it's too expensive. I don't know the answer to that, but I think it would work today because I think it would be harder to do because today you have technology. Everything today is, I know where you are, I know when you did this, I know, so as an immortal you're trying to hide yourself throughout ages.
True.
It's a much harder way to do it, so I'll be kind of interested to see how they bring this to the forefront, if they ever do.
Oh, that's wild, man. All right, cool. And let's talk about your other project, your sword experience. How did this get started, and what can you tell us about it? Because it's pretty interesting from what I've been reading.
It's kind of evolved drastically since 2015. Back in the early 2000s, people kept asking me, do you do store videos? Can you do teaching? And I was like, I'm not qualified to teach you IADA or fencing or whatever. I've done a mixture of things, but what I do know is the movies and how to put it on screen and how to get it to work properly.
Sure.
And know the martial art aspect of it. And so I originally started it to give people an idea what sword choreography was like, and it's evolved into something much bigger than that now. And it's now I have different portions of it. I have the academy events, which are specifically technique. You work on footwork, you work on angulation, which is part of our sword experience numbering system from 1 to 12 with attack and defenses, which I realized in doing it over a couple of years that every single sword work that you do, whether you're doing it as a martial art or as a choreography, you have to know your target. You have to know where you're going. Whether I do this shot like this or this shot like this, if I do it with a katana, if I do it with a broadsword, I'm still aiming for that target. So I teach people those targets in my academy. I teach them how to move their feet, which is very hard to do. I teach them the proper angulation of or movement of the hand. There's a lot of different things that get involved in that, which is timing or there's different techniques we use to actually create that. And mainstay is our elite events. And those are a mixture between film work and learning the sword. Wow. So you get to learn the choreography, the safety aspects, the swing, etc. But then I put a story to it. So you will come to me, and or people will come and I say, well, you can play. Do you want to play a role? So I'll give you some lines, and we will do a story that this particular location that I've chosen allows me to tell that story. So it'll be a 3-page story, but you get to do lines, etc. With it. We did one I did my first LGBT one.
Oh, really?
In Baltimore just recently, I think we just released it yesterday. That showed, and it happened by accident because it was very last minute. I had a lot of events going on. I just had a tour, which I can talk about in a second. But I didn't have the guys responding. I had 2 or 3 girls respond. I went, you know what? Why don't I make the 2 lovers? It was about 2 lovers from different sides of the tracks. Okay. It's called. What do I call it? I can't remember what I called it now. But it was 2 lovers from the different sides of the track. One's a wealthy family, one's not, and they're about to run away together. And then their 2 families come around and try to stop them, and they get into a fight. But it was 2 girls, and I was like, okay, are you guys okay with it? And they went, yeah, sure, fine. There's no kissing or anything, But that's
brilliant. Yeah.
So I go with the flow in a sense, and there've been different ones. I did one in the mine in New York, underground. In this, I've done it in so many interesting places that you get to tell the story. So you take away the video, the photos, the bokeh, the autograph pictures, all that stuff as a package that you do over 6 or 7 hours. Wow. Although I've done them over 2 days now. Sometimes I split that 6 or 7 hours and make it 8 hours, so that people just learn all the basics one day, and the second day they learn the choreography and the filming, which gives them time to sort of relax a little bit and not be so stressed, because 6 or 7 hours of doing it is a lot.
Oh yeah, sure, it certainly is. Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, there's 6 achievement levels that you got too?
What do you mean?
I don't know. When I wrote it down,
On the site, you mean, on the sword
yeah,
experience?
yeah.
Well, the what I have on the sword experience is also sword training videos.
Okay, that's
And the,
what I was
and the training videos, there are 6 levels of training, which are 12 videos per level.
Oh, okay.
And it basically goes through different stretches, different hand techniques, and then you get to do certain things like you do in a martial art, and I grade you for it. So you get graded
pretty wild.
throughout the system, and you get a belt, you get a certificate having gone through that level, and then you go through the next one, much like a martial art.
Sure.
So you get 2 free gradings per level you get, and because the videos are there for you to look at, and I believe that if you're going to do something, you've got to make sure you do your homework. So if you come to me twice, and I've given you the notes twice, and you still come back, well, you're going to have to do it, and you'll have to pay for it the next time because you haven't done your homework. The videos are there for you to do the homework on.
Yeah,
So
makes
it's
sense.
not like I've told you something and you've forgotten it. It's different. If you've got the videos content there all the time, and I've explained it to you, then so that's what that one is. So as I said, we've evolved into a lot of different things, and we also have our retreats. I just did a Paris retreat, which went from Paris for 4 days down to Tours for another 4 days, and down to Provence for another 4 days. So we did about 12, 13-day tour of Highlander locations as well as sword experience stuff. And I'm doing another one in Vancouver in September for a season 1 celebration of the end of the first season. So we're going to do all the locations in the first season. I've got a couple of special guests coming. We'll do a couple of sword experience days as well. So it's another package. So we got a lot of different things that this has kind of evolved into. I never expected it to.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I was looking it up and I was like, this is really neat. I have to make sure to bring it up because there's a lot going on,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. People say, so what are you doing right now? I don't have much time to do anything else at the moment. Although I do have a lot of projects. I have my filming side of it, things which is coming together nicely now.
Oh, that's great,
Producing
man.
and directing. So.
Well, we could use something like that in Orlando, the sword.
Oh, we do. We bring it to Orlando.
Yeah.
I was actually in Orlando. We have our other portion, which is VVVI,
Okay.
Vitae V Virtus Institute. Vitae V Virtus is really based in laser swords,
Okay.
like you've seen in the famous movies of Star Trek, etc. This
So-
is a 3-tier system where you go through the esoteric portion, in other words, the learning mentally how to relax and go through to become a Jedi Knight, not a Jedi Knight, a Jedi Knight. Jedi is an ancient Egyptian sect that were, priests and monks who studied, etc. And so you learn that system, and then the other system is open hand technique, how you do different open hand techniques as well as Tai Chi, etc. And the third one is laser swords. So this is all that, and we did our first in Tampa back in last October. We just did another one in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. The idea is to keep it online and push it towards the colleges and the universities, because it's already an accredited program at the University of Polytechnic of Southern Florida. It's been there for 6 years, so we've taken it and we've expanded it and now creating it to give it to martial arts studios, people online, colleges, etc. And we're about to launch that probably later this year.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, so we've got a lot.
That's a lot of good things coming up there.
Yeah, I think so.
So cool. Listen, I really appreciate you taking out some
You're
time.
welcome, thank you.
And I hope the questions were decent
Awesome.
and very cool. And then, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right.
See ya.